I know how that sounds. After 6 months working graveyard at Quick Stop, I've seen every shade of weird. Meth heads trying to pay with Monopoly money. Drunk college kids stuffing condoms in their pockets. That one lady who only shops at 2 a.m. in a wedding dress. But this is different. The fluorescent lights buzz overhead like dying insects as I restock the candy aisle. My phone says 11:47 p.m. I count down in my head. The bell chimes. He walks in, beige coat, perfectly pressed despite the humidity. His shoes never squeak, never leave marks. I pretend to focus on the Snickers display, watching him in the convex security mirror. Same routine. Aisle 3. Picks up a pack of Winterfresh, third one back. Then a blue Bic lighter, always blue. Dan pushes past with a mop. Someone puked in the bathroom. Fun. I tap the counter. Hey, weird question. See that guy? Dan frowns. Who? The gum guy. Always 11:47. Must be your regular. He shrugs. I get the morning Karens. The man approaches, placing his items down with unsettling precision. His smile is too wide, too practiced, like someone who learned by watching others. Will that be all? My voice stays even. Just these. Long night ahead. Something about his voice makes my skin crawl. It's smooth but wrong, like multiple voices speaking at once. $4.27. Exact change. But tonight, as I hand him the receipt, he tilts his head. Interesting necklace, Caleb. Labradorite, isn't it? Your grandmother's? I freeze. I never told anyone about Nana's necklace. I've never worn it to work. It's sitting on my dresser. At home. I called in sick the next night. Spent 8 hours checking my locks, scrolling through missing persons reports, unsolved crimes. Anything about stalkers or convenience store creeps. Nothing. At least, nothing recent. But buried in archived articles from the past decade, I found a pattern. Every 8 months or so, a night shift worker vanishes. Different stores, different chains, but always convenience stores. Always the graveyard shift. The police connect nothing. Each case is filed separately. Each disappearance explained away. One moved back home. Another had gambling debts. A third left an apologetic note about starting fresh in California. Their families tell different stories in local Facebook groups. Stories about strange customers, blue flames, beige coats. By the second night, I couldn't afford to miss another shift. Bills don't pay themselves, and my savings account was already running on fumes. Besides, what would I tell Jerry? Sorry, boss. Can't work because a customer knows about my dead grandmother's jewelry? The store feels different now. Smaller. The aisles create long shadows that weren't there before, and the security mirror warps faces into grotesque shapes. I keep catching movement in my peripheral vision, but when I turn, it's just my own reflection in the windows. Or maybe someone else's reflection, wearing my face like an ill-fitting mask. Dan slouches against the counter, scrolling through his phone. You look like shit, man. Thanks. I start organizing the lottery tickets, keeping my eyes on the door. Hey, about that guy I mentioned. The gum dude? Dan looks up. You're getting weird about him, like Emily did. My hands stop moving. Emily? Yeah, the girl who worked here before you. She kept talking about some creepy regular. Jerry had to let her go when she started freaking out customers. Dan scratches his neck. Think she moved back home or something. Her Facebook's gone dark. I spend my break hunched over my phone in the back room, searching for any trace of Emily online. Her profile's still there, frozen in time. Last post. Starting my last night shift at Quick Stop. Can't wait to get out of here. 3 likes, 0 comments. The post before that catches my eye. A photo of a small flame, blue as a gas stove. Caption, he keeps leaving these everywhere. Please tell me someone else sees them. The timestamp, 11:47 p.m. I dig deeper. Emily's mother's profile is a digital shrine now. Missing person posters, candlelight vigil photos, comments full of prayer emojis. The police report mentions a beige coat found in Emily's apartment, too big to be hers. No signs of forced entry. No body ever found. Just a blue Bic lighter on her pillow, still warm to the touch. One comment on her mother's latest post catches my eye. From another grieving parent 3 states away. I saw her last week at our local Gas and Go. She was behind the counter wearing a beige coat, but when I called her name, she looked right through me, like she didn't know me, like she wasn't really there at all. The bell doesn't chime this time. He's just there, standing in front of the counter, same beige coat, same manufactured smile. Evening, Caleb. He sets down his items. Not gum and a lighter tonight. My throat closes up. It's a pack of Earl Grey tea, my favorite brand, a tin of cat food, the expensive kind I buy from Mr. Whiskers, and a small bottle of prescription sleep medication, the exact prescription I started taking last week. Dan frowns. Everything okay? The customer's smile widens, too perfect, just picking up necessities. Caleb knows. His hands are stained blue, the same shade as his lighter's flame. A name tag peeks from his coat. Another Quick Stop badge. From a store I don't know. I freeze. Dan rings him up. Exact change. At the door, though I never saw him move, he says, "Fix that loose kitchen window, Caleb. Someone could get in." I quit on the spot, but security footage showed nothing, just me, talking to empty air. 3 hours later, in my bathroom, a receipt is taped to the mirror. On the back, "See you at work tomorrow, Caleb, but I quit hours." About 7 years ago, I worked nights as a watchman at an old warehouse complex in northern Maine. The site stretched over a mile, but most nights, our 4-person crew stayed near the main entrance, a small booth by the chain-link fence. No one else was around unless a big shipment was due, and even then, only a supervisor or 2. The older guys swore the place was cursed, telling stories about workers who had died decades ago, crushed by crates or caught in machinery. I was raised to believe in things beyond what we see, good and evil alike, but I figured they were just trying to scare me. After a month on the job, working 4 shifts a week, nothing unusual had happened. The occasional groan from the pipes or a chair slightly out of place didn't faze me. It was just an old building settling. Or so I thought. The complex had a rec building for staff, a leftover from when crews stayed overnight during busy seasons. It was run down, with a rusty weight room, a steam room, and a squash court. The court was a concrete box with faded paint, a high ceiling, and a heavy plexiglass door. My coworker Sam and I would sneak in there sometimes to knock a ball around during quiet hours. One night, around 3 a.m., we decided to skip the game and lift weights instead. The building was dead silent. No heat was on, no fans, just the hum of the overhead lights cutting through the stillness. We'd been at it for 10 minutes when a sharp bang echoed through the room. We froze, then shrugged it off, maybe a pipe settling. A few minutes later, it happened again, louder. We radioed our supervisor, Tara, asking if she was nearby. She said, "No, I'm at the entrance." The bangs were coming from the squash court across the hall. We tried to explain it, maybe the furnace kicking on, but it was off, and it never made noises like that anyway. Then the bangs sped up, one after another, like someone was slamming something against the wall. We grabbed our flashlights and edged toward the court. My stomach twisted. I didn't want to look, but we had to. When we reached the plexiglass door, we aimed our lights inside. A rubber ball was rolling slowly across the floor, by itself. No one was in there. The bangs had to be that ball hitting the walls, like someone was playing a game, but there was no one. My chest tightened. I felt tears sting my eyes from pure fear. Sam's face went pale. We couldn't understand it. Nothing made sense. We shouted and ran, bolting back to the entrance. Tara saw us stumble in, breathless and shaken. She asked, "What happened?" We told her about the ball and the noises. Her eyes narrowed. She said, "That's why people don't stay long here. Something's wrong with this place. You're not the first to see it." She pulled up old camera logs on her tablet, clips of shadowy shapes drifting through the break room. Lights flickering on and off with no one around. It gave me chills all over again. I still get shaky telling this story. That night was my first encounter with something I can't explain. Some believe it was a spirit lingering from the deaths on site, while others think it was something far worse, just playing games. I don't know the truth, but I quit a week later.